Well, welcome. My name is Steve Mattioli. I'm with MattioliSolutions.com, and we've got a really important course for you today. Again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Today's course is something that every leader should know about. And if you haven't experienced this subject firsthand, like I have, I'll give you my experience in a minute. You are lucky, because if you spend any time in leadership, you're going to experience this most likely. And I want you to be prepared for it. And most importantly, I want you to be able to prevent it. So let me give you the scenario, because this happened to me many times. You're at your desk, you're having a good day, you're reading your email, you're talking to some folks, you're doing your job. Suddenly an email comes in from an unknown source. Whoa, what is this? I need to talk with you. You open up the email and it says, there's been a complaint filed, and you are a witness in this complaint, and I need to speak with you about this complaint. Thank you, EEOC investigator. And you're like, what is this? Where did this come from? What's going on? Who did something? I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. What do you? This is how they usually start. It's either a phone call or an email, and it does not make your day when you get one of these. So we're going to walk through the process. I'm going to tell you what it's about. I'm going to tell you what to expect. I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts. And most importantly, I'm going to talk about, in the second part of this, I'm going to talk about how to prevent these from occurring. Now, you can't prevent everything, but you can do things that will help you avoid these, because these are not pleasant things. And I'm talking about an EEOC complaint, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission complaint. These are discrimination-based complaints, and so we're going to walk through this whole complicated process that I had to learn by myself. I want you to be a little bit better prepared for it, so you can be a better leader and do a better job and not have these complaints coming at you all the time. Now, one of the first things you need to know is this is a really important topic for leaders, because as a leader, you are responsible, right? You're going to supervise people. You're going to supervise programs. And anytime you supervise people, you're going to be subject to these types of complaints. And as a leader, you're responsible. You're responsible to comply with these complaints. You're responsible to respond. And it's going to take a lot of your time. So this is a very important topic, and this is going to make you a better leader to be prepared for it. Now, let me tell you, I was thrown into the fire on this topic when I was a supervisor. It came right out of the blue. I always believe, like most of you believe, and let me just say this up front, EEO statement up front. You should treat everybody fairly. You should never discriminate based on anything. Your job as a leader is to get people to produce good work, to produce good results, have a good working environment, and you should never discriminate against race, against age, against sex, gender, whatever it is. No discrimination, because a leader should always be results focused. So no discrimination, period. And if it's there, it's got to stop. That's the statement, right? That's where we all should be. So my experience, I always treated people well. I always tried to get along with employees. I always tried to be fair. I tried to give people opportunities. That's the kind of person I am. So you can imagine my surprise when I got one of these emails saying that somebody is filing a complaint, and the complaint is against you. You are a witness in this complaint. So this completely took me by surprise. Now, my agency had given us some basic training in the EEO process, and I have to be honest and say that the training did not resemble what this complaint process resembled. In the training, it said that it would be a nice process where people could resolve complaints and work together to come to a better working environment if they thought something was wrong. And I thought, wow, that sounds good. That sounds like a really good thing. But it didn't turn out to be that way for me. And I hope it doesn't turn out that way for you. But it's much different than what it was portrayed in our training. It's actually very antagonistic. It actually can get very personal. There's actually a lot at stake. And depending on the person complaining and how much they want to push it, it'll take a lot of your time and can be very distracting as a leader. So it was very challenging to go through, and that's what I want to communicate to you. So I've been through these complaints. Now, most of the complaints that I would dealt with were filed by one person. One person filed many complaints. But I dealt with some others also in different offices. So I'm going to give you some real good insight. Now, one of the things I want you to remember is as we go through the process, it's going to vary a little bit based on the company you work for. I was in the federal government. They had a certain process for that. If you're in a private company, they're going to have a process if you get a complaint filed. If you're your own business person, you're going to have your own process. So it's not going to be exactly like I described my process because I was in the federal government, but it's going to be very similar. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. And I will point out some differences between how businesses are treated and the federal government's treated, but it may be a little bit different for you. But one thing I do want to tell you up front, if you're ever involved in one of these EEOC complaints, make sure you seek counsel. Make sure you seek an attorney's advice. These are not issues you go through without an attorney involved. But as you're going to see, a lot of the process does not involve an attorney. And this is where a leader needs to be aware of what they're doing, what statements you give to the EEO investigator, because they're going to ask you to make statements. They're going to ask you to sign affidavits. And a lot of this is without counsel involved. So I want you to be aware of the entire process and how you can get yourself through it and prepare and be better. And these things are really important because there are fines, there are penalties, and the penalties can be quite severe on companies and the remedies that are prescribed if they allow discrimination to occur. You don't want to be there. You don't want to do that. So that's what we're going to go through today, and we're going to look at all these things. Now, another thing I need to say before we get into this, and in the next section, we're going to look at what is the EEOC, what is a complaint, what can be complained on, what are the general categories of discrimination, where do they come from, you know, that kind of stuff. But before I do that, I need to make one thing clear. This is not a legal course. This is a leader course, okay? This is a leadership course. The process does have a lot of legal items in it, but it has a lot of leadership items in it also. And you're going to see that as we go through it. So this is not a legal course. Get an attorney, follow the attorney's advice, wherever you're at, whatever company you're at. I'm going to help you understand it so you can prepare better and so you can know what to expect if you get that email, if you get that call to say, hey, a complaint's been filed against you. You're a witness, and I need to take a statement from you. I want you to be prepared. I want you to not panic, and I want you to be able to get through it as a good leader. So that's what this course is about. So we've got some good sections ahead. The next section, we're going to look at the EEOC. We're going to look at complaint numbers and all that stuff and timelines and all that good stuff. So thank you for being here today. Again, my name's Steve Mattioli with MattioliSolutions.com, and I'm really excited to get started on this course. So let's go.